Good evening and welcome to another edition of On the Pitch. This is Jim Naprostek here for DuhawkFootball.com. Here with women's coaches, head coach Dan Rothert and assistant coach Danielle Dodds. Coaches, thanks for joining me here tonight on the show.
Great to be here.
First off, Coach, I want to congratulate the both of you on an impressive season. The Duhawks finished at a 17-1-2 mark, co-champions of the Iowa Conference, and then you guys stole the crown from Wartburg in the Iowa Conference tournament. Initial reactions from your season, Coach Rothert?
I think I'd be lying if I say we didn't come in here with high expectations this year, and it's certainly something that we wanted to do from the get-go. We have big goals. We still have big goals out there, but I think a little bit of a rough start at the year with a couple injuries and moving some people around, trying to find how to fix things from graduation from last year. But with the talent we had, the new talent we had coming in, we were certainly excited about the season.
And Coach Dodds, let's talk about some standout players that you guys had this year. First off, Kate Young, is a cornerstone that you guys have been able to rely on in the past. This year, she had 11 goals and 8 assists. How do you feel that her contributions helped with this year's team?
I think Kate, obviously, with the numbers that she's put up and things along those lines, has kind of led the pack on the offensive side of things. I think her ability to draw fouls and things along those lines has also been a good asset that we've been able to have as well. So, I think the numbers kind of speak for themselves.
And Coach, right next to Kate this year, you've had a newcomer, Danielle. What were you really expecting of her from the get-go, and how do you feel that she's performed as the season progressed?
Danielle's kind of she's a great player. We knew that coming in, but we didn't really know where to play her and what position she can play. Pretty much anything. Finally found the offense to be more of her home. We had her early in the season, kind of towards the back, and she's done great. I mean, she's fantastic in the air. She's kind of the ball winner for us, on offense. Gets the play started a lot of the time, and I think she has 8 goals, maybe something like that. She's certainly been creative enough to get some opportunities and get us some great goals and some key goals. She got that game winner against Wartburg the other night, and with her head. So It kind of speaks volumes of those strengths.
Taking a step away from the stats, you also got to look at Danielle. Many freshmen, if they were starting on a program, with the prestige of Loris, they might have a little case of the butterflies. And a thing that Loris really implies is a good, hard physical play. And when you see Danielle out there on the pitch, do you really look at her as a freshman, the way she plays, or do you feel that her play puts her up maybe at a sophomore or even a junior level?
Oh, I think you're dead on. I mean, I think she had the maturity as a player to come in and play right away and start right away as a freshman, which in our program is a difficult thing to do. And for her to come in and set that tone right from the very beginning was great. But yeah, the physicality, able to go up and challenge with anybody. She's not the biggest, tallest girl in the field, but she's able to go in there and battle with anybody. So definitely a huge asset.
Coach Dodds, a name that's almost been a routine around here the last couple of years. Katie Chambers returned for another season here for the Duhawks, posting a 15-1-1 record and a .56 goals against average. How do you feel that your program would be without Katie Chambers in that?
I can honestly say it wouldn't be at the level that I think it is now, just seen as how not only, physically her presence in goal has, been an asset, but, I think the mental side of things and her battling through injuries and coming back and showing kind of that perseverance, I think has inspired others to be able to, take their game to the next level. So I think not only for the pure athlete that she is, but I think, the individual that she is, I think has helped take our program to the next level for sure.
And Coach, obviously these are your 3 stat leaders. Kate leading in goals, Danielle leading in assists, and then Katie as your rock-solid goaltender. Are there any other players that come to mind as far as who stood out from the crowd this year?
Gosh, I think it's, a great group of girls, but I think you got to look at, Kinsey Campbell in the back. Has been a stalwart defensively all year, shutting down the opponent's best players. Sometimes we ask her to do 2 roles at once, kind of be a sweeper and a marker at the same time, and she does a fantastic job of being able to do that. And Jane Esslinger, I think, defensive mid, has really stood out, had a great year. But all in all, I think we talk about, all the way through from freshmen to seniors and being able to push through, injuries and people step up and being a little bit deeper than we have been in the past. And, so I think it's a total team effort.
And with Jane playing that center defensive mid position, on most teams, she would rarely see a touch on the offensive side of the pitch. But this year, I believe she's got 4 goals. And you feel that that's just a result of the style of her play, or do you think that's because of her teammates' play that's allowed her to move up and take some of those shots?
Yeah, certainly I think, it's part of our game plan. I mean, we want her involved, and the position she plays for us is certainly a connector between the defense and the offense, and she's going to generate things and hopefully be able to get into the attack some. But I certainly think that with the defenders we have behind them, with Kinsey and Sarah Trump and Linda Vries, and then you have Chambers in goal, I think there's a lot of confidence for, okay, I can go forward, and those 3 will have my back for a minute. They can play man for man for a second, and I can get forward and get some looks.
Last year, Coach Dodds, you guys were phenomenal. Probably one of the best years that the women's program has had, whether or not since Coach Rothert has taken the reins, or really even since 1995 when the women's soccer team started. Do you feel you guys had a little bit of a hangover to start the year and maybe a little bit of a slow start?
As kind of Coach Rothert alluded to a little bit, I think, if anything, the reason why it was maybe a little bit of a slow start is we were trying to figure out how the team was going to mesh together. Although we did only graduate 1 starter, it's an entirely different team from number 1 to number 32. I mean, it's an entirely different group trying to figure out how they're going to work together and things along those lines. So I think if there was maybe a little slow start, it was due to that fact, not necessarily because we had lost in penalty kicks. I think if anything, that left a bad taste in the girls' mouth, and they knew that we were penalty kicks away from a Final Four and a national championship. So I think, if anything, they used it as motivation for this year, and wanted to be back in that position to maybe have a different outcome.
And Coach Rothert, I think I can count on one hand, and then with being one time that I've ever seen you celebrate on the sidelines, and it was last year when the men's team was down in St. Louis and you guys scored with 38
last year was a bit of
seconds
surprise,
left.
I think.
But from your perspective,
to be as good as we were last
is the
year,
women's
I don't know if
team
anybody
playing
expected
their
it,
best
including
soccer
ourselves
right
as
now as we
coaches.
head
I think,
into the NCAA tournament?
that would be
I think
great,
we are.
but to say we're going to go,
I'm excited to say
with
we
one
are.
loss on the year, and
maybe at the end of last
such a
year
great
we were
season,
playing
it
a
was
little
kind
bit
of,
injured and beat up, and
a
stuff
bit of
like
a
this at this
surprise,
point
and
in
so
the year, and
come at the end of the year, maybe we weren't as ready for this point. Now the girls are ready. They know this is it. This is go time. This is what this all means, and they want to certainly improve on it. So we would be at this point this year.
You guys got used to it last year, and you've been playing with a target on your back all season long. Whether it's when teams come into the Rock Bowl or when you guys travel to another opponent, the teams are gunning for you. There's no more hiding under the blankets. Everyone knows that Loras is a perennial program across Division III, both men's and women's. But as we head into the NCAA tournament now, how do you feel that your girls are ready to prepare for what's about to come at them?
Yeah, been there. Now we've been there, and it's not, a Cinderella story to be in a tournament or anything like that. It's, hey, we've had big goals since last year, and Danny talked about it a little bit, where, we really feel we're penalty kicks away from being in a national championship game last year. We lose to Otterbein in penalties. They win their next game in penalties here in the Rock Bowl, and then they lose their next game in penalties to the eventual national champion. So it says to our girls, whoa, we really are that close. And, so I think the expectations are high, and we're excited to see where we can go.
Kick off the tournament, Coach Dodds, you guys will play host to Hanover from Indiana. Kind of a unique situation. Most teams you get some kind of a film or some kind of footage on. It's not the case this weekend. So as a coach, what's been part of the struggle in order for you to be prepared so that you can then share that with your team?
I don't know if it has necessarily been a struggle at this point in the game, considering we do always kind of like to just worry about ourselves. I think the more information you know, sometimes the more you overanalyze. And, for us right now, we can concentrate on what we can control, and what we control is how we play and how we coach. And I think if anything, I think our girls are kind of looking forward to that we're experienced enough that we've seen different systems. We can recognize the formation that they're playing in. We need to be disciplined in terms of set pieces, things along those lines. That doesn't change no matter if we have tape or if we don't on a team. So I think if anything, people are kind of looking forward to it because they can focus inward and focus on themselves and not, as I said before, kind of overanalyze things.
And following Saturday's match at 1:30 in the Rock Bowl, you guys will take on, or the winner of that match, I should say, will take on the winner of St. Benedict and Carroll University. Obviously we're going to take this one game at a time. It's been the mantra all season long. But as coaches, I can be sure that you guys are going to be scouting Saturday afternoon before your game so that you're prepared. So, Coach Rothert, do you have any history or knowledge of the two programs, St. Benedict and Carroll? And if you find that your team makes it to that stage in the tournament, what are you expecting?
Gosh, both teams are good. They come from good conferences. I think Carroll is their conference champ for, maybe the fifth or sixth time in the last, last 7 or 8 years. So they've been in the tournament and they've kind of been in this situation. But they have a new coach and a new situation, new system, and things like that. In terms of St. Benedict's, they won a very strong conference where teams beat up on each other all year long in the Minnesota Athletic Conference. So you don't know what you're. We don't know quite what we're getting yet. We're going to be able to see them, like you said, and scout them out a little bit. But I think it's going to be a battle. I think St. Benedict's might be coming from a little bit tougher conference and might be a little more battle tested. At the same time, I think Carroll will be dangerous, and I think it would be a pretty even matchup.
Coach Dodds, being able to host for this weekend, and obviously being favored to host if your team continues their success into the NCAA tournament, what advantage does that give the girls on the team to know, you're in the same locker room you've been in all season long, you got the same fans behind your back, you're playing on the same pitch that you're used to. Where do you think that all these advantages of playing in the Rock Bowl are going to pay into your team's success?
Yeah, obviously I think it is a little bit of an advantage to be at home. You understand the turf, you understand kind of the ins and outs of the things around here. You get to sleep in your own bed. You get to do all those little things. I think, it's kind of been a common theme for us this year, however, that we need to be adaptable no matter where we are at, and we need to be able to still play quality soccer if we are at home or if we're away. So, I think our team is ready for whatever needs to happen, but again, I would be lying if the girls didn't say, yeah, we want to be on the Rock Bowl because, we want to win on the Rock Bowl. That's what we want to do. So, definitely a psychological advantage, I think, a physical advantage because we understand the environment and things. So, all we can say is we're excited. We're excited to be home.
And last question, Coach. Fans, coaches, players, everyone's seen the brackets. They all know who they're going to have to face and if they want to make it to the Final Four and if they want to be national champions. Looking at the draw that the women received on Monday, what's your honest opinion? Do you feel that this year the girls have what it takes to get to the Final Four and perhaps a national championship?
Certainly you look at the teams that are hosting, and those are probably the top seeds in each little pod, and our route to the Final Four is going to be challenging. I mean, we have teams that are in the top 20 in the country, top 10 in the country in our bracket. We get a Wash U who if they were to win their group, which they're hosting, they're a little upset from coming up here a couple weeks back and taking one on the chin. And then you have a Wheaton out there who's perennial national power, national champions a couple times in the last 5 years. I think our girls want that game back. If it does go that far, I think our girls want that chance. And, you have a Wartburg in there and then a lot of other good teams too, Principia, Aurora, Ohio Wesleyan, some other good teams. We got to be on our A game. There's no question. We have to be on that and, go out and play Laura soccer and hopefully show the country that we can get to that point.
Alrighty, well, that's all we have for tonight. I want to, again, thank you, Coach Rothert and Coach Dodds, for joining me on the pitch. Ladies will start off the NCAA tournament on Saturday afternoon against Hanover, and then if they win that match, they will again play on Sunday in the second round of the NCAA tournament. So, coaches, thanks for joining me tonight, and good luck, and it's tournament time.
Thanks, Jim.